Good afternoon. Welcome to the Veranda. Today, my guest is Judge Betty Thomas Moore. She's my friend, and we're going to support her and we're going to vote for her. She's the judge in General Sessions Court, Division 5. Welcome to the Veranda.
Thank you, my sister. I appreciate you having me here.
Tell me about you.
Oh my gosh, who am I? Do we have about 3 or 4 days for me to do that?
We got time.
Who am I? I am Betty Thomas Moore. I am a native Memphian. I was raised in South Memphis at McLemore and 3rd. My mom and my dad raised 10 kids, graduated from Carver High School, go Cobras, and went to the University of Memphis, Memphis State. Come on, y'all. University of Memphis, undergraduate and law school. I'm married. My husband, Alvin, is also a native Memphian, was a Nighthawk, radio, WDIA and WLOK. And yeah, girl, yes. And he went to the sheriff's department and retired from there last year. But we were blessed to have between us 8 children and 2 godkids. So we got 10 kids that we claim and 25 grandchildren, whom I love so very much. Yes, 25 grandkids. And so being a native Memphian, my sisters and brothers would tell you, they say, oh man, gosh, you were mean. I was like, why do you say I was mean? I was just trying to keep y'all in control. 10 kids, I was the oldest daughter. But my dad always told me, he said, girl, you read all the time. You love Perry Mason, which I did. I love watching Perry Mason. To this day, I watch Perry Mason along with Gunsmoke. But I love watching Perry Mason because I grew up with it. But one thing about it is I got a little older though, Angela. I'm like, okay, I see Perry Mason, but I don't see anybody that looks like us. And I thought, I'm going to be the female Perry Mason.
And not Della.
And I wasn't going to be Della now. I wanted to go to the courtroom, argue those cases, win those cases like Perry Mason, but I'll be Pernilla Perry Mason. Pernilla Mason, yeah, that sounds good. So my dad said I would argue a brick down, and I was like, okay, that's a good reason to be a lawyer. And so since I was at the age of 12, I wanted to be an attorney, and I wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted to do those things that would serve people besides strutting myself as a lawyer, arguing a case, representing folks that could not represent themselves, speak for themselves, because I truly believe then, as I do now, that no matter who you are, what color you are, you have a right to great representation.
And
not just, not there you go, in due process. And so I used to have people ask me as an attorney, because I worked at the public defender's office, how can you represent guilty people? I said, that's not what it's about. You represent people because our Constitution says everybody has a right to due process, which means everybody has a right for representation, to representation. And that's what I wanted to do with my life. I love to travel. My hubby and I have been blessed to do a lot of traveling in our lifetime. Blessed 3 years ago to go to Jerusalem and be baptized in the Jordan River.
Really?
Yes. What a wonderful, exciting experience.
Was it and this has nothing to do with it. You brought it up, so I'm going to ask. Was there like a surreal feeling?
Yes, ma'am. I don't even know if that word is strong enough, because when you study the word and you hear about Jesus and baptizing in the Jordan River, and there you are, you're not only in the Jordan River, and you're there, you're seeing it, and different things in Jerusalem that represent Christ. And there you are in your little stuff, and you're going into the Jordan River. I cried the whole time because I was like, Lord, thank you. I was so blessed. I felt so favored. And I've never gotten over that feeling yet, and I don't think I ever will.
And that's awesome.
It is awesome.
That's
it is awesome.
Something that a lot of people will never experience. That's why I wanted to delve into that.
Yes.
Because I can only imagine that feeling.
Yes.
to be somewhere where he has been.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
mean, he's with me 24/7.
Yes.
He's smacking me in my mouth.
Oh, yeah.
Coming out. But he's with me.
Yes.
But
Yes.
to be in an actual place where it was spoken of that he was there.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. In your journey as an attorney, what prompted you to take the next step and become a judge?
I was the public defender, as I said, and I was pretty good at it. I was real good at it because I would practice my craft about 7 days a week because we always had trials. And you already know for yourself, being aware of what the system is like. Public defenders had tons of cases. And I worked hard. I did not want to embarrass my family. I did not want to embarrass myself by being a lawyer who didn't handle her cases, wasn't good at what she did. And besides, I'm Pernilla Mason. I wanted to be really good and I wanted to win my cases where my cases should be won. And so I worked, I studied, I worked on my cases. And 13 years handling my cases, I won a lot of my cases. I started out in Judge Joe Brown's courtroom.
I bet that was an experience.
That was an experience. I was the public defender assigned to that division for the duration before he went off to California in the big time. And I handled all kinds of cases. And 3 years before I became a judge, I was assigned to the capital defense team, which, as you know, nothing but murder cases that were eligible for the death penalty. And so being eligible for the death penalty, I was one of the few women in Shelby County at that time that were qualified to handle death penalty cases. And I handled a lot of those cases. And all of the cases that I handled, all of the people that I met, my intent always was to do my best and ensure that due process was served, that my clients knew who I was. I mean, there were times I'd go to court, Miss Angela, and there would be other litigants in there who would say, well, I want Betty Moore. I want her to represent me because I had that kind of reputation that I'm thankful for, that I am proud of. But the bottom line is that after being on the Capitol Defense team for 3 or 4 years and you're seeing tons of murders and heinous offenses, it kind of wears on you, to be perfectly honest. It's like, and then when you have individuals, young and older, who are coming through the system, and it's some for as a revolving door, and you know that you're doing the best that you can, and you're getting a little bit of headway, there comes a time that you pray about it and say, okay, Lord, is there someplace else that you can use me? And so this is where he uses me best. And so at that time, I talked to individuals about what my next journey would be because I felt led by the Spirit to talk to certain people and say, you know what, I feel like this is what God wants me to do. I want to be a judge because I want to go over into civil court. And being in civil court helps me to help people who are dealing with car accident cases, because that's what General Sessions Civil Court does. People who come to that court, most of them represent themselves. General Sessions Civil Court here has the highest volume of litigants that come in than any other jurisdiction in the state. And so the question is, where can I take the talent that God has given me and use it to my best ability and make a difference and make a bigger impact than where I was over in criminal court? So in that court with people who represent themselves, in that court where you have all kinds of lawsuits valued at $25,000 or less, in that court where you have people, that is the jurisdictional limit for us, except there are some instances where there is unlimited jurisdiction, where if you owe $1 million in past due rent, or you being a foreclosed, you have a foreclosure that's valued at over $1 million, we have unlimited jurisdiction. Repossessions, replevin. I had one case one time where a doctor's office, the equipment was being repossessed, and it was worth about $250,000. We get all kinds of cases, all kinds of people that come through.
Let me ask you this. Tell me 2 stories in your courtroom that have really touched your heart or that you felt, based on the law which you had to follow, were something that you wish you could have changed.
I have to tell you this first because it leads into answering your question. Because there are so many of those stories. I just turned 65 years old. I have 4 of my own children. I married my high school sweetheart, who directly out of high school joined the Navy and actually retired from the Navy. We had 4 kids. After about 16 years and all kinds of stuff going on and going through law school, my husband left. He was always stationed away and was in Virginia at the time. Went back during the middle of a holiday and never returned. Had a woman in every port. The women were always calling me and saying, because now so it wasn't Alvin, but it was their father. And so the bottom line at that time was I was destitute. The military does not do as they do now, which is make sure that families are taken care of. Military still lacks a little bit in many areas, but in that area at that time, 20 years ago, I wasn't able to get my child support like I was supposed to. Never got it. Still haven't gotten it to this day. So here I am going through with 4 kids, struggling, trying to feed my babies, pay my bills. So what makes the difference in me as a judge with the cases that I'm handling? I have struggled. I have women and men who come through who say, Judge, I couldn't pay that bill because, and I was like, I understand, me too. Judge, I had to file bankruptcy because I had so many bills and the bill collectors were calling me and I just didn't have the money. Me too. Bankruptcy, couldn't pay the bills, enough money to get enough food for my kids. And I sit back and I might get a cracker because I was struggling. And so I understand the struggle that people have when they come to court. I understand that. And so when people come in, most of the folk are terribly frustrated.
From junk.
Yeah, from stuff, from junk, from things going on. I owe you, you, and you. I'm being evicted over here, there, and everywhere.
And then, I got to throw this in there. And then the opposing side is always, not always, but sometimes so mean and negative toward that person.
And you're right about that. And I'm the kind of person, we talked about being from South Memphis. I'm the type of person where I'm like, okay, lawyer, I don't tolerate that tone of voice in this court because I understand. When the litigants get a little loud, there's that frustration. But we, as judges and the lawyers, have to maintain. Now, I'm going to be honest and say, one reason why my dad said I'd make a good lawyer because I can be loud. I can be firm and I understand how to get people to where they need to be. So I'll tell them, I can talk louder than you. I want you to hear me because what I say may very well help you, may very well answer your questions because people can be all over the place. But when I share with folk my story, my journey, listen, Miss So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, believe me, calm down. I understand. I haven't always had this black robe on. I haven't always been in this place. And when you make it real for people, when you make it real.
You have to, at times, and I've learned this in life, everybody's not on the same level.
Yes, ma'am.
But you can meet somewhere in there where
yes,
you're
ma'am.
all on that level.
Where you're on the same level.
And sometimes people tend to not respect that.
Uh-huh.
Or they tend to ignore that.
Yes.
And that's when you have to kind of hold on.
Yeah, and you do. Because you have to maintain the dignity of the situation, not just of the court, but the dignity of all parties that are involved where you can. Because sometimes, Miss Angela, they cut up. They'll cut up. And they're just out of control because they're so frustrated. And we as judges, we have to lead and guide people at times, as you know. Sometimes folk want to just sell you so much that you don't need. And I tell people, I say, look, I don't mean to cut you off, but here's the thing. There's only so much information that I need at this point, because if I let you talk about that, then the other side is, you know, because most folks want to accuse each other. They want to point the finger at each other. And I'm trying to maintain control and stability, because if you start telling me all the stuff you hate about this person and what is going on, then they're going to respond, then y'all get loud and it gets,
and nothing's resolved.
And nothing is resolved.
And then you being a judge have to come in with the law.
And I have to come in with the law. You always have to come in with the law. But here's the thing. You come in with the law and you get as close to it as you can till you're able to, within the guidelines of the law, to make that little turn. It may not be too big of a curve, but you try to make that curve so that it becomes a fair and a just situation for everybody.
And see, I appreciate that because that shows compassion on your part.
You have to.
And you have
where you can.
Political figures, judges, and attorneys that are caught up in the system as far as this being a job or a stepping stone. So they negate all the compassion and feelings and respect.
Uh-huh.
And I see that a lot, and I talk about that a lot on the veranda because that bothers me.
Of course, and it should.
Because we have a lot of politicians that jump from one spot to another.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot don't do jack.
Uh-huh.
But a lot of them do stuff.
Exactly.
And those are the ones I have on the porch that have been on the porch and on the veranda. And the ones that's not doing that, y'all know who I'm talking about. It's my show, I can tell it
all right then.
So, but moving forward from that, what do you think? Well, let me give you a
Can I answer the other part of that question too? Because you hit it on the nail when you talk about the compassion of the court. Because people seem to think sometimes when you talk about being fair and impartial, because that's the line that we judges give to people, because people want to hear fair and impartial, not biased, but they don't understand that there's a compassionate part to it. There has to be. And I'm thankful, after being on the bench for almost 24 years, that, you get a lot of lawyers to come in regularly. And I think most of them understand my body language. Because even when I have an eviction case, and I have a situation where it's a person who says, Judge, if I can just have a few more days, and I can go ahead and get moved because I got to find some place. And I'll look at the lawyer and I'll look at that person. I said, well, the law says that I can only give you 10 days. I said, but if you talk with the attorney and if you just need a few more days, and I look at the lawyer and say, do you think that you can give him at least 4 more days? And they're looking at me because they know what my body language is. They say, well, Judge, yes, we can do at least 4 more days. And when you have a relationship like that, where you can say something and hopefully the lawyers will pick it up, because here's the bottom line, Miss Angela, they don't have to give them more than 10 days on an eviction. And when they don't pick up on the hint that I'm trying to give, that's fine too, because there's a law that says one thing that has to be done. But the bottom line is that I never have any trouble, and I'm thankful that they don't pick up on that. And for me, this isn't a job, nor is it a career, it is a ministry. It is something that is a journey for me, as I said, that I think that God has blessed me to do. Okay, so you asked me about 2 stories, and so here's the second one. When people come to my court, as we talked about how frustrated folks can get, and I don't like too much to tell about the stories that are outside of what I do as a judge, though they are a part of it. But I will tell this story. Ever so often I get seniors that come in, and when I get seniors to come in, that is my passion also, along with what I do. The seniors that come through, I get seniors that come in and bless their hearts, they're on walkers, or they got oxygen, or something is going on. They got somebody there with them, and they've co-signed on a lease. They've co-signed on a car. They have done an apartment. So now they're caught up because the grandchild, the child, the sister, the brother, whomever hasn't paid. And now here is this 89-year-old person coming to court who is sustaining on Social Security, and they got a $3,000, $4,000, $1,000 debt. And so, again, with the lawyers who kind of read me, who come in and do all that debt collection. And I'll talk to my senior, because I spend a lot of time talking to the individuals that come to court, because I want them to understand the process. And in talking to my seniors, I was like, well, you only get Social Security or SSI, Judge, and that's barely enough, and no other income, no. And I said, well, let's see if counselor if you want to collect some information to verify to your creditor that Miss So-and-so only has a certain amount of money. Do you think that maybe your creditor, your client, may look at this case and feel that it is one that can be dismissed or something, and say, yeah, Judge, if we can reset this case so that I can talk to Miss So-and-so, get some information to verify their financial status. And then 9.5 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10, I always hold the case in my courtroom because I know what I'm doing with it. Never fails. They'll come back, they have verified, this person don't have no money, and they'll dismiss it. Because one, even at 89 or 80 years old and you only have a small amount of money, you don't need to stress over your head whether it will be collected or not, that you owe somebody $3,000. That's stressful.
You don't have it.
And you don't have it. You don't know, and casinos don't understand when I tell them they probably won't be able to collect it anyway, but they're still going to be thinking that, are they going to take my house? Are they going to take the little money I got? And so they don't need that stressor. So when they come back to court and I say, okay, Miss So-and-so, your case is going to be dismissed, thrown out. You don't have to worry about it. It's done. They're like, what? I said, yes, ma'am. That's what we were working towards. And we work towards that on a regular basis with our seniors because they just don't have money.
And that leads me to a question I have for the constituents and everyday people and people that have to have a need to go to your court. How can they be prepared for court? Because I see a lot of people, because I've gone through processes before, and because I'm lean, I kind of knew what to go in there with.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, I see a lot of people going there, and it might be a misunderstanding about the rent, where the landlord might say you didn't pay it, but you got a receipt.
Uh-huh.
So you need to be prepared for your paperwork. You
Yes.
need to know what are some of the things that people need to know when coming to General Sessions Court.
You know, I was telling you earlier that most of the people that come through General Sessions Court are representing themselves. We call them pro se or self-represented litigants. That's what we're about. We handle cases where a lot of people come in on their own. But I tell people when they come in, especially if they got a trial set or they're going to set, they say, Judge, I just disagree. And I say, okay, I'll give you another day to come back to have a trial. But I always have a spiel. I always have information that I provide to them no matter what. And lawyers will look at me like, oh my gosh, Judge Moore is going to do her regular thing. They know that I'm going to take some time to explain to people. I'm going to take the time to get people prepared within the guidelines of the law. I don't get sent out there and be their lawyer, but I want folk to be prepared, because most people who come to court representing themselves, they watch Judge Joe Brown, Judge Judy, Judge Mathis, all those judges, and they think that it's kind of like that.
It's like TV, and it's not.
It's not. And you know that, Miss Angela, it's not like the television. It's entertainment. And so Judge Judy will talk about you and say something and don't have to worry about being kicked off the bench because she's not practicing law anymore. And when you come to the real deal court, like Judge Betty Moore's courtroom,
It's real.
it's real. And the law tells me and mandates for me and tells people who are representing themselves that you have to know the laws, the rules, the procedures to handle your case. And you could have a good case. But if you don't know what to do, you could lose a good case because you don't know how to handle your case. And it could be a good case. Whether you got $5, $50, or $100 that you're asking for, you want your money and you're there for a reason. So being prepared, I have prepared some documentation that I give to everybody that's called Guidelines and Helpful Information. It is nothing that's substitute for an attorney, but I give it to everybody and I say, look at that, read that, study that, so that you will know, okay, oh, I got to do that. I didn't know that. Oh, maybe I might need to try to get a lawyer. But here's the thing about that even, Miss Angela. Most folks can't afford a lawyer. Sometimes lawyers don't want your case. And sometimes people want to handle their own cases no matter what. So be prepared. When you get any kind of information, whether you get it from me or you get it from another court or you got an idea, Google is a great thing at times. Research. And then double research so that you can be sure what Tennessee law tells you that you need to do. Take some time to research your issue because that issue is important to you. I have so often have people who come in, they'll say, Judge, I'm a little nervous. I said, I know that you are. My first time coming to court, I said, no. I said, but today is important to you. And I need you to focus to do what you need to do and listen to me. Because I give them some instructions that last at least 10 minutes. And I know that they're not always focusing on what I'm saying, but I always give instruction, even the day of the trial, the day of court, to explain You're going to have a right to tell your side of the story. They're going to be first if they file the lawsuit. You're going to have a chance to respond. You have a right to call witnesses and cross-examine witnesses. But everything's got to be done in the manner that the law requires. I can give you a little bit to the curve, but I can't go over the curve where I'm looking like I'm favoring one over the other. So I have to be fair to everybody. And so it's your responsibility to do what you need to do. Present your evidence, present your documentation, whatever you may have to prove your case. That is important. Study to show thyself approved.
General Sessions Court, that is one of the courts that, I mean, all courts are stressful
Uh-huh.
to the average person.
Yes.
Be it criminal, civil, divorce.
Uh-huh.
The court process is a process.
Yes, ma'am.
And you can walk through Shelby County courtrooms, courthouse on any given day, and you've got people sitting in the lobbies that have come out of courtrooms or are waiting to go in courtrooms for a civil trial, criminal trial, divorce, whatever.
Yes.
And the faces of some of these people is so despairing, and so you know they're going through something.
Yes.
So when they go into a courtroom and you have a judge that shows some form of compassion, is a light somewhat.
Yes.
You know, okay, this judge is not hard. Whether it's criminal or whatever, you're going to follow the law, but you still have a certain decorum about yourself.
Yes.
Where they know
You have to.
This is going to be fair.
Yes.
And I see, you know, like you say, TV court ain't real, but it's entertainment.
It's very much entertainment.
But a lot of people really think that's how it works.
They do.
And that was one of the reasons when we talked and you said, I want to come, I'm sure, come on, because I want people to know what this process is and how to be prepared for this process. And to support this lady, my friend, Betty Thomas Moore. Vote for her, y'all. Vote for her. What's the date?
There's early voting, July the 15th until the 31st. And then the regular elections are August the 4th. Here's the thing about your judges, as you know, Miss Angela. We're at the bottom of the ballot.
And the ballot is
long. There are over 40 positions.
To look for. Because a lot of people, here's a true story. Every election, I have people that call me, seniors. Okay, Angela, who do I need to vote for? Who do I need to vote for? Tell me, who do I need to vote for?
Yes.
So that was what prompted me to do this.
I appreciate that.
People call me and ask me, who I'm supposed to vote for? When do I go vote? Where do I go vote?
Yes.
And I think that what's so interesting to me is I appreciate that people respect my opinion. And I feel honored by that.
Yes.
But I wanted to let people see the other side of the person. Because see, when you're running for office, you have fundraisers. You go to every event that's in a community. But this is something where people can sit at home and really delve into you. Because when you go to an event, say at a park, you just walk around and shake hands. Hi, I'm Betty Moore, I'm Betty Moore, I'm Betty Moore, I'm Betty Moore Thomas, vote for me. They don't know who you are. They're going to know who you are after today. I mean, not that they don't, but I'm saying they'll have a more personal view of who you are.
And I tell you, Miss Angela, one of the things, like I told you earlier, I've been on the bench for almost 24 years. The day that I ran, I have been running ever since. I've never been a judge, and I never will be, that waits until election time to get out into the community. And you got to, especially for our courts, when you want people to come into court and feel like I've been treated fairly. I may not have won my case, for instance, but I've been treated fairly. And I know that, Judge, I tell folk always to come to my courtroom. I'll be happy to have you. Come in and sit in because it's public. But the thing about it is I have gone out into the communities. I've gone to churches. I've gone to schools. Any type of organization that needs. I have a board. I go to the Senior Expo. I have a board that I have to make that thing over and over again that talks about the General Sessions, Civil Court, what we do, and I have handouts that I pass. I'm involved now with going to some of the senior health care centers because they have a place for me. I've partnered with them so that I can talk to my seniors, and it says, ask Judge Betty. And I want people to know that me as a judge, I'm just not on the bench 5 days a week, 9 to 5. I come to court, I handle my cases, but I do that in the courthouse, and then I do it outside of the courthouse, letting people know who I am and what I do. Because as I said earlier, it's not just a job, it's a ministry, and I'm thankful to God for this opportunity.
And I think that people, when people are more informed, or people are more knowledgeable of processes and what people do, that helps from the standpoint of knowing what to expect.
Yes.
You don't go in on something blind.
Yes, ma'am.
You know what I'm saying? So now if you know you didn't pay your rent, oh, I'm so sorry. If you go in on something and you know you ain't paid your rent, you already know you're wrong. If you go in and your car being recalled because you know you're wrong. So you're getting what you expect. But with Judge Moore, what you see is what you get. And she's going to treat you fairly.
Yes, ma'am.
She's going to follow the process of law, and she's going to help you if she can. So I want you to vote for Judge Moore. She's my friend. I love her, and I support her. So I'm asking all my friends that's going to call me and ask me, because the list is this long. Now, you know you got to go vote again. A lot of people don't know. We just voted. Okay, you got to vote again. So go vote.
Yes.
Look for her name. There's some other people that are on the veranda. You're going to look for their names as well, and you're going to support them. But this right here, I want y'all to vote for Judge Betty Thomas Moore, General Sessions. She's my friend, and I thank you for coming to this.
Thank you for having me, Miss Angela. I love this veranda. I think I'm going to move in.
Come on. I ain't going to evict you.
Thank you.